Witnessing wild parties with lots of drugs and alcohol is Sharon Harris's earliest memory. Her mom was an addict.
Every weekend, there would be lots of drug use, there would be lots of drinking, which would always ultimately end in violence. I was terrified. I never knew as a child, what the next day held.
Sharon relied on her sister Sonia to ease the fear.
As I laid in the dark in my bed, there was a sense of security, if I just held on to my sister, that I would be all right.
Along with fear came confusion. Sharon simply couldn't understand why her mother didn't love her.
I know you want to stand here and talk about what you did at school and all of those kind of things. I don't have that kind of time, Sharon.
My mother never kissed me. My mother never hugged me. I would, do anything that would appear to make her happy just so that I could get the love and affection and acceptance from her. But it never happened.
As she grew older, her fear of drugs and what they had done to her family turned into curiosity.
I can remember as early as 10 years old, I experimented with marijuana.
When her mother found out, she gave her more. So Sharon and her mom started getting high together.
She would cry, I would cry. We were able to connect or communicate in a way that we never did.
Then Sharon was raped by a neighbor. Assuming it was yet another normal part of life, Sharon continued to sleep with the man who was 20 years old. Sharon was 11. It wasn't long before she was pregnant and gave birth to a boy. Social services quickly removed the child from her care.
It was extremely, extremely difficult. I had no reason to live. That's how I felt. I felt that I had no reason to live, because the only thing that I felt that loved me was this baby.
At 14, Sharon left home and moved in with other drug addicts and was soon pregnant again. This time, she moved in with the baby's father, who was twice her age and abusive. He beat her regularly for years, until one day he almost killed her. She knew she had to leave. Another drug addict took Sharon and her daughter in. His house was also full of violence.
They would be fighting over the gun, and I'm sitting there, my daughter, at any time it could have just went off and killed me, killed her.
Sharon knew her life was a mess, but did not know how to change.
I lived every day of my life in a state of hopelessness. I never thought at this point anything good could come out of my life.
One night, Sharon got a phone call from her sister Sonia, who had moved to Milwaukee and had become a Christian. She wanted Sharon to come and live with her.
In my heart, I always knew that my sister I knew that my sister loved me. I knew that.
Sonia explained to Sharon that Jesus Christ could change her life.
I thought, maybe God does love me. Maybe there is hope for me. Maybe, just maybe, something good, may happen in my life. So I just said, God, if you can take the depths of my pain, if you can make anything good out of my life, God, I said, here I am. And I totally, totally surrendered my life to the Lord at that point.
Sharon took her daughter and left, but had nowhere to go.
I said, God, just help me. I didn't have a fancy prayer, but I just said, please help me. A lady came out of her apartment, and she said that the Lord woke her up and told her that there was a young girl and a baby and to bring us in. And when this happened, I knew God was real. I knew at that point that God was truly real.
The woman helped Sharon connect with the women's shelter. The staff helped her gain custody of her first child and provided transportation to Milwaukee. At 17 years old, Sharon and her children moved in with her sister and left a life of drugs and alcohol behind.
For me, I didn't have the 12 steps. I didn't have any treatment. I had the Word of God. I was in an environment that was conducive to my spiritual growth and maturity.
Sharon met and married a Christian man named Harry, who raised her children as his own. She got her GED and went on to get a college degree. Sharon and Harry had more children and now have grandchildren. And the son she had when she was 12 is now a missionary. Sharon wrote a book, Exposing the Pain. Today, she travels around the nation telling her dramatic story and sharing how God can save, even in the midst of despair.
He rescued me. He saw in me what I could become. He loved me too much to leave me in the hopeless state that I was in. And He has caused something beautiful to come out of my life. And the pain of my past no longer dictates my future, because I realize, because of Jesus Christ, I have a future.